This hangout is on air. This is live. Evening, everybody. Welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And this evening, I'm going to be chattering with Jen and Sylvia Soska and Daniel Way about Kill-Crazy Nymphos ATTACK. Yeah, I don't know why I said it like that either. But it kind of has a 50B movies feel to it when I look at
Total Grindhouse.
Yeah.
Say again?
Oh, I said it's Total Grindhouse.
Total Grindhouse, absolutely. Cool. All right, then. So just before I start introducing you guys, but I come to you guys, I just wanted to share a couple of things for people who are watching, and that's the upcoming shows and what's going to be going on in the next few weeks. Next week, a gentleman that Jen and Sylvia definitely know is a gentleman called Andy Stewart.
Oh, he's fucking good. He's really good.
Great. Yes, yeah. You recommended I get in touch with Andy originally, I think, and yeah. So Andy Stewart's going to be talking to me. He's the writer and director of a movie called Dysmorphia, which you can see online, and he's done some other exciting stuff as well. So I'm going to be chatting to him next week. Then another lady who I know you ladies know, and that is Jessica Cameron.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. She's going to be coming on the 3rd of May. We're going to be doing on the 26th of April an original versus remake, which is on the Evil Dead, and on the 10th of May, I'm going to be interviewing a gentleman called Mark Logan, who's done an in-depth study of independent film distribution and how things are working these days. He's doing an MA in filmmaking at the moment, and that is part of his dissertation. He's a very interesting chap to talk to. He's also a short filmmaker as well, a very interesting guy. And then sometime later in May, Eileen Dietz, who was in the original Exorcist movie and did General Hospital and did Planet of the Apes, the TV series. She has done loads and loads of stuff and has just published her biography, Exorcising My Demons. She's a fascinating lady. She is going to be coming on as well. So that's, oh, thank you. Darling, could you just drop the blind just a little? Sorry, that's Craig.
Good morning.
Can you just drop the blind a little bit for me, dear?
Stop stalking Ryan Reynolds, that's my job.
Craig says, in case you didn't hear that, girls, you're to stop stalking Ryan Reynolds.
I'm not stalking Ryan Reynolds, I'm stalking Wade Wilson. Just this guy.
Ah, okay.
Like, don't even get us started. Don't even. Like, the stuff I haven't gotten out of the box. This is literally just by our desk. And there's so many huge things I can't even move. It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. A girl's got to have a hobby. Yes, absolutely. Craig incidentally says the reason why you can't stalk Ryan Reynolds is because it's Craig's job to stalk Ryan Reynolds.
You should come here and film it. Yeah. I'm after his stuntman, though. After I saw him backslip off that car, I think I'm pregnant. It was worth it. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. If you'd just like to introduce yourself, ladies.
Oh, and with that note, I'm Jen Soska. And I'm Sylvia Soska. And we're the Twisted Twins, also known as the Soska Sisters. We're Canadian failed actresses, but very successful. Very successful. Oops. I think moderately successful director, writer, producer.
Yeah, I think one can definitely say more than moderately successful. Quick question. Jen and Sylvia, how does it feel to be working on your first graphic novel and working with Daniel K? And so we'll just introduce Daniel K, if we may.
Okay. I'm Daniel Way. I write comic books. I don't know what else to say about that.
That's a very cool thing to be.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a very cool thing to be able to say, Daniel. Actually, I'll start with you, Daniel, if I may. You say you write comic books. How did you start writing comic books?
Let's see. Okay. So how safe do I have to be with content here? I'm assuming not.
Not at all.
Okay.
We wouldn't
So-
even think it has to be safe for anybody.
Yeah,
In my late teens, late teens, I spent a lot of time hanging out at this really shitty pool hall, and made friends with this guy who, as it turns out, was the manager of a comic book store. And we used to hang out. I actually used to sell him drugs. So I would make fun of him here and there, and because I really, other than a few comic books that I'd seen when I was a kid, I didn't know much about them. I couldn't. When I was a kid, I was like really poor. So even though they only cost like 60 or 75 cents, I still couldn't afford them. So when he mentioned comic books, I was just like, I just kind of regarded it as this kind of adolescent power fantasy kind of thing, and I made fun of him a lot. And he kind of turned the tables on me and ended up bringing me a bunch of different books that were, kind of outside of the mainstream, and I ended up reading them, and they were these books that they were cooler and just even more far out than the films and the novels and stuff that I really liked. So I was like, do you have more of these? And he's like, yeah, I got thousands of them. So I ended up I started hanging out in this store, and he was the first one to kind of kicked open the door and pointed out to me that comics are a medium and not a genre. They're not just one kind of story. It's a way to tell a story. And he was also the one, because I would get fucked up and spool out some insane story. And he would tell me, you should write this down. And I said, well, I don't have the patience or anything to write a novel. And keep in mind, I was like 19. And he said, well, why don't you try writing a comic book? Those are only like 22 pages. So I did, and I created and wrote a comic book. It's called Violent Lifestyle. While I was doing that, and it took me quite a while to write that, I went to my first comic book convention, and I found out about this foundation called the Xeric Foundation, which was started by the guys who created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and found out that they give money to people doing exactly what I was doing, which is pretty great because I didn't have any. I got a grant from them. I self-published the book. I took it to the Small Press Expo at the time it was in Bethesda, Maryland, and I ended up meeting Diana Schutz, who was a editor at Dark Horse Comics. She really liked the book, and she asked if she could have some more copies, and so I gave them a bunch. So I gave her a fistful of them, and she ended up in turn giving those to other editors that she knew. And one of those was a guy named Axel Alonso, who was senior editor at DC Vertigo, which is DC's mature readers line, and the publisher of most of the books that I was reading at the time. And he ended up calling me and asking if I wanted to take a swing at writing for Marvel. And that's kind of how it got started. Well,
wow.
That's exactly how it got started.
And what about you, Jen and Sylvia? How did you get into comics?
Well, our grandma always used to take us by this corner store, and we would buy comic books. And the first time I ever picked up a comic book, I wanted a female superhero. So I opened Marvel, and I opened DC, and I flipped through DC, and I'm like, the females kind of... I want to work for DC one day, but the female content kind of sucked ass. And then I opened the X-Men. You got Storm with a mohawk and Rogel badass, and it was something that I was like, whoa, these chicks look cool. So we started actually buying them and, oh god, cutting them up and playing with the little figures and making our own stories.
Because after the comic book was gone, there was nothing else to do, and I was like, what happens to Storm and Wolverine and the X-Men, and Jean's dead, and I was like, I need to make that up. And I didn't realize that's only my first 2 issues I chopped up, and it's okay.
We got some great issues of X-Men.
You can still read it. It's just Storm's not in it at all.
Storm
She's
and Rogue
been carefully cut out of every single frame because I wanted to be Storm.
Still working. I mean,
Yeah, and then we went to there's a great comic book shop called Big Pete's, and so every time we would see her grandma, we'd always go to the comic book store. And she didn't call them comic books because she's Hungarian, and they just, you know how grandmas make up their own fucking words for everything. She called it the funny books, and she's like, "Do you want to read some more funny books?" And I was like, "These aren't really funny, but yeah, I totally like reading them a lot." And I remember, it's so funny because I love comic books and I feel so comfortable in them before, but I remember being really tiny in my little like Sunday dress and looking up at all the action figures and everything, and there's only boys in the store, and thinking that it was just like the coolest thing. Like I discovered something that no other like 10-year-old girl had discovered, except maybe her, but she was always there, twins.
I'm such a fan of comics and video games also because I'm a junkie for like fucked up characters and like great stories, and I really do feel some of the greatest stories ever told have been through comic books and video games, but unfortunately it's not a medium that everyone enjoys for whatever reason, because they seem to think that it's an adolescent thing to do. When you're a kid, you collect comic books and play video games, but as an adult you can afford the video games and the comic books. So I mean, her bedroom is like a 15-year-old boy's. Spider-Man sheets, Spider-Man everywhere, just like
listen up, bachelors.
Boxes.
Listen up.
I mean, if there's a bachelor listening that has an authentic Deadpool suit, trust me, there's weirder things a girl could ask you to do than dress like Deadpool.
I'll also take Spider-Man or Punisher. Punisher is just a T-shirt.
Punisher is basically just a T-shirt and a shitty attitude.
And a strong sense of justice. That is the question, and those are the comic book characters I'm sexually attracted to.
Yeah, I love how it started with how did you get into it, and these are my very specific like relationship qualifiers.
I'm hoping for a date out of this, Nicholas. I really am.
Yeah.
Really?
Also, same as her, but also Daredevil and Dawkins, but no one can cosplay that. Still hoping to see one that should have his shirt off. If you don't know who Dawkins is, okay, Dan, don't.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
We're friends now, so I'm sorry.
We created this character so we can nerd out with him because he's trapped making a comic book with us.
He's Green's fine as fuck kind of pansexual son who kind of forced himself in a way on Bullseye. Like, if anyone reads comic books, Bullseye, who's got to be like the most homophobic guy in the world, to have this fine-ass guy making out with him.
Anyways, it's a great. You should read them all. They're amazing. He has a pheromone ability that can make straight guys question their sexuality, which I think is.
And if you want, Nicholas, I can send you some, and Dan, some very specific, great fan fiction.
Oh my god! But this is Marvel Comics. This is the kind of crazy shit Daniel got away when he was writing. And I remember looking at it, being like, "What the fuck is this?"
I remember I went in being like, "Oh, Wolverine has a cool son. Oh yeah,
it's gonna be so badass."
And then that just became my qualifier for the men I look for, which is kind of really self-destructive.
The end of the question answer.
You better just.
Okay, well, whilst you both have been chatting away, actually, we've had quite a few questions coming in.
Oh my god, people are listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's lots of people. We've got more viewers than we've ever had before at this point in the show. Yes. So I'm going to see if I can get through some of these questions, and bear with me whilst I need to find the one that I wanted to. Okay, cool. This is from Hannah Smith. Jen and Sylvia, what was your biggest inspiration between KCNA, and will or the tone be similar to American Mary, Dead Hooker, or more towards ABCs of Death? Now, I kind of want to make... Actually, I'm going to come to you guys and get rid of that from my screen. Whose idea was this? Was this Daniel's or Jen's, or did you come up with it? This is Daniel's.
Yeah, initially it was an idea that I had. It was 2/3 of an idea that I had, and I've been kicking it around forever, and I just couldn't. The pieces never would come together for me. It wasn't until we sat down with Jen and Sylvia, we started to workshop it, and it finally came together. As far as the inspiration behind it, it's really the sum total of I've seen a lot of B movies and exploitation movies, you know, and grindhouse flicks, and the 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 reason that I watched the first one in the first place is because of, you know, they're so visually arresting and they're so over the top, and they're just built to be these pieces of art that are like, look at me, look, you know, they demand your attention, and and I loved all the trappings, and I loved how kind of aggressive an art form or genre it is. But I always thought, you know, once you have someone's attention like that, why not kind of start slipping in these little some more social commentaries, because those have always been my favorite kinds, and really my favorite types of genre movies and novels and everything, where they're saying multiple things at the same time, and they're introducing as many questions as they're providing answers, because they're, you know, when you go completely over the top, that does give you the leeway to slip in some more subtle and nuanced things. I don't know why exactly that works, but it does. You know, I mean, you look at you know, a common example is Dawn of the Dead, and as a kid who grew up in the '80s and living under Reaganomics, you know, I can very much feel, I understand what living under a capitalistic society was like, and I know that it said a lot, and then but it also said, you know, when it also pointed out that when you strip everything away, if you're on this side of the grave, you're on the same side, and that really resonated with me, you know, because I felt alienated from so many other things just because I couldn't afford to buy in, but at least I was fucking human, you know, and alive.
Yes. It always helps to be alive when you're when you're doing these things. So how did Jen and Sylvia, how did you meet Daniel?
Stalking him on Twitter. I like to say that there's like a normal story here, but eventually
there almost was. Our friend Kenny Logan was going to introduce us to Daniel, and he was doing a convention in Seattle, and we were going to drive down, and that didn't happen. And we were super disappointed. We're like, oh, we're never going to meet Daniel. Wait, oh, I had all my comic books ready to go. And he tweeted about Dead Hooker in a Trunk. And so we didn't think it was Daniel, but Jen and I were freaking out. We're like, Daniel Way's watching our movie. He just tweeted at me. He's watching Dead Hooker in a Trunk.
It took forever for us to write our first tweet, because we're like, okay, make sure like we are appreciative of his art, but not as much as we actually are, so he doesn't get freaked out.
So he doesn't run away. No, if you look at the exchange afterward, like, are
so
you
carefully worded? Are you the Daniel Way?
Yeah, and then which when I read it, I was like, oh, great, I stepped into it, because I thought that at best it was a 50-50 chance that they were being genuine, because it's also just a really great, you know, imagine like someone just being really douchey and just introducing something. Hello, I'm Daniel Way, and you don't care, so you're like, oh my God, the Daniel Way, and if that was the case, I was like, you know, that's good. I'll at least give you credit for that, you know. This is what I did. I actually Googled their name and my name, and then saw that they had actually mentioned me before in interviews and that they were fans, and I was like, oh, okay, that was genuine. Yeah.
That's a very cool trick. I've never thought of doing that before. Googling my name and somebody else just to see whether or not they've actually.
Eli Roth through MySpace.
Yeah.
And I again didn't think it was Eli Roth.
You have trust issues, Jen. Oh, too real.
Oh.
It's too real. Quick, another question.
Another question. There's lots of comments on your hair, Sylvia, by the way. Ryan Esposito particularly says.
Thing date, you guys.
Whoa, what the fuck? What about my hair?
And yours as well, of course. Sorry, why did I just say one of you? That was really daft of me.
It's not weird. I went to a convention and I played it really cool, and there were people that were like, oh my God, I really love you and your sister. but Jen is our favorite. 5 times in front of me. 5 times Jen is our favorite. Jen is our favorite, though. And I was like, but I get it.
There's no surefire way to piss off a twin more than saying, I like you so much better than your sister. You're prettier than her. Because I'm like, my sister's the most beautiful woman to walk the earth, you bastard. But your hair does look fucking nice.
Thanks, guys. I need the hair support this morning.
And you can watch us fix it for the rest of this interview.
Make cute faces.
Yeah. Actually, there is another question that's come in from a gentleman called Ian Briggs, and it kind of picks up on what Daniel was saying earlier on about the style of the comic. And the question from Ian is, how will you balance storytelling and gratuitous violence in the graphic novel Rourke Briggs all the way in Scotland? But
Rock Briggs!
Having to point his like one-handed typing that.
How are you to do that? Send.
So Daniel, you talked about how do you achieve that if that's not giving too much of the game away?
Oh no, it's not. What I tend to do and what I find works best is it doesn't matter if you're whenever you want those kind of gut punch moments. If you really want to rip someone's heart out, then have a happy scene. Where things are where there's a sense of safety and then all of a sudden, and then at the turn of a page, just really yank the rug out from underneath them. It works the same. The inverse works just as well. Whereas if you really want to get a laugh out of someone, kind of start going into a really dark scene or a really heavy scene, and then have someone break the tension with just a joke or just something funny happening, and it ends up really standing out. And you get that laugh and you get that response. With this book, the balance is it's, I mean, you have to understand, I've written a lot of comic books, and I know how to do this because comic books tend to be like all action and people jumping out at the page, and at some point you do have to communicate a story, a story arc. So when things get bloody in this story, they get really, really bloody, and then we back off of that because it can't just be just this non-stop gush of blood, because then it loses all impact. So then we pull back a little and we set up, and then we kind of lull you into a sense of security, and then we fire the next volley and then just start alarming you again. And this is definitely it's a violent book. It's very, very violent, but there are also ways where we're going to the whole point of some scenes is to show how dispassionate they are. Some of the characters are about violence, so it gets downplayed.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So moving on slightly, talked about the style and of the comic or the graphic novel, or the very graphic novel, as you're calling
It's such a good tagline. I hope it hasn't been used before.
I don't think it has. It's fucking great. I did not write it. He did.
Daniel's good.
Daniel's fucking good.
That's a good thing about writing with a brilliant writer. Everyone's like, you guys are so talented. I'm like, yep, attach me to that comment for sure.
Fuck, even his texts are amazing.
So I've got another question here, actually, about the book as well, and this is from Diane Cockerham.
Oh, hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Jen, Sylvia, and Daniel, are you creating characters in the book based on who you would love to have play them in a film version? So are you creating the characters with an eye to making a movie at the end of the process, I guess is really what Diane says? Or how do you picture your characters? These is a good question for creators, but all three of you. Are you creating the characters based on people you've met, or you've seen online, or how does that work? where do your characters come from, or is it?
Well, what we do, or what we've done here, is we kind of draw the character out in words and descriptions, and then hand that to the artist, Rob Dumo, and then he comes up with a couple of takes on it, and then we kind of refine it from there. As far as casting the book specifically toward actors, it hasn't come up yet, with the exception of Lloyd Kaufman. We know he's going to be appearing in the book, and when I like knowing that at the outset, I don't think we can write the character as anything other than Lloyd Kaufman-esque, just because I don't know, it would I don't think it'd be possible to remove that knowledge and from my brain while I'm writing that scene, because I would just see Lloyd acting it out, just with the big eyes and oh.
What about you, Jen and Sylvia? I mean, obviously, not just on the Daniel's doing the writing on this, but when you're writing films, your characters, how do you get inspiration for your characters?
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to speak. That was one of the first moments.
Sorry, Nicholas, she doesn't know.
No, I do know. I do know. We never write for actors. The only case that we actually wrote for an actor was Catherine Isabel. Actually, both times we've worked with Catherine Isabel.
We wrote the parts.
We wrote the parts specifically for her. American Mary specifically for her, and Tamara in See No Evil 2 is actually a 20-something-year-old boy was her part. And in the original version, the boy didn't get on top of a corpse and kind of grind against it. That was all a sexual fantasy of Jen and mine, to see Catherine kiss a dead Kane. Kane's a sex symbol. You can't deny it. Just Google him. And Kane, if you're watching this, don't Google yourself. Do not Google yourself.
Go blind.
An Undertaker shit. But with our characters, we always try to create the character, because a good actor, a lot of actors can fit into that one role. Like an actor we work with a lot of the time, Michael Eklund. He's like the Canadian Daniel Day-Lewis, and he had a small part in See No Evil 2. He has a much bigger part in Vendetta. But I literally pick up a script and I'm like, this guy could be Michael Eklund, that guy could be him, that guy could be him. It's all about the actor and how he responds to the material.
Especially the more you work in this industry, like, since I worked with Paul Big Show White, anytime I see anyone who should be a giant, I'm like, yeah, 7 foot 400 giant. The only giant I know who's a phenomenal actor. Absolutely, I'm going to hire him for that.
Oh, he should be the Kingpin.
Oh, yeah. But
don't worry, in Vendetta he pretty much plays the Kingpin. If you're Punisher fans, it's just a blatant Punisher story ripoff. Actually, it's a bunch of Punisher stories ripped off and rolled into one.
We're going to say homage, not a ripoff.
Right. An inspiration. It's an inspiration by Tim Bradstreet.
Okay, there's another question. There's from a gentleman called Fernando Mancinelli, who Jen and Sylvia, you almost met at the end of one of the hangouts.
I remember. He was,
this is
joking. That leaves an image on a girl.
That's how I was going to start this. I was going to be topless.
Hello, I just woke up and I'm so sexy and foreign. Oh, sorry.
That's Fernando. Yep, you've summed up Fernando beautifully. For Jen and Sylvia and Daniel, could K.C.N.A. could turn into a movie later on?
I think that was like the second conversation that we had. I would say definitely. There's a lot of times, even in kind of plotting out the story, where, well, I know that the twins tend to think in terms of film, and I could definitely, when their notes would come back, just because of just the way it was worded and what they were describing, I was like, yeah, I saw them in film terms, which then I have to kind of break it down and say, okay, well, how do I break that into stills? But I would say definitely and frankly, the more successful the Kickstarter campaign is for the graphic novel, the greater the chances of getting a film made. Just because there are some people, a lot of people very, very high up and high placed in the film industry, and frankly, one of their biggest assets is they don't have much of a sense of. They're not very creative. they in a lot of cases it serves them well. It allows them to make smarter decisions, but they have to know that they have a winner on their hands before they really get behind something. And when they see dollars, then they're like, okay, that dollars equals success. You know, if people have already proven that they'll put money down for it, that's something I'll trust. It's kind of a really kind of strings on the puppet answer, but it's the truth.
No, I think it makes perfect sense to me, and I was just thinking when Nightbreed, a movie that I made 25 years ago now, the only reason that we got a director's cut of it was because 13,000 people signed a petition that they wanted a director's cut. You know, you've got to be able to show that something's commercial.
Especially now, there's so much. The pie hasn't necessarily gotten bigger; the pieces have gotten smaller. So if you can show success, then that really means a ton. If they can somehow quantify it, because you have to just make it, like I said, kind of low-hanging fruit for some of these people to be like, oh yeah, well it made money, you know, it already made money, so, but wait till we get our hands on it, and then we'll work our magic on it. Meanwhile, Jen and Sylvia would just be like, yeah, you're gonna do nothing.
They'll cut it to shit. The graphic novel will always be creator's cut, and you know, I know we'll never.
I can kind of see a lot of scenarios where you two end up with the master print in the trunk of your car, like just, you know, no, you can't have it. We're running for it.
You can't have it. I'm taking it to Cannes where they understand me.
That's us with all of our films, secretly stealing and be like, I have it now. Shh.
Not true, though.
Not true. Not true.
Cool. All right. So we've got a little over halfway, and I did promise that I know there were certain people who'd set themselves up with microphones and cameras, and they'd like to ask their questions live. So I'm just going to take a brief pause whilst I do that. But whilst we do that, I'm going to ask a question. A lady called Shannon Leclerc. Which exploitation grindhouse films have any influence or the look or writing of KCNA? So this is Shannon. So which any films in particular that have got an influence on the creation of this?
Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill, El Topo. Geez, like, got so many of them. Attack of the Beat Girls. Which is a piece of shit that MGM did. But gosh.
Daniel, say Dead Hooker in a Trunk.
Oh well, yeah, Dead Hooker in a Trunk. That was the one. Once again, after sitting on this story idea for years.
Good evening.
Okay.
I had seen Dead Hooker before, and I kept trying to put this story together by myself, and so I once again I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to have that playing in the background, and that's going to help me unlock this story. And it actually worked in that it got me in touch with the twins. So, but yeah, definitely Dead Hooker in the Trunk.
Serendipitous.
Cool. All right. Well, we've had a couple of people who've joined us. Jonathan, who we've heard from already. I'll keep Jonathan muted for a moment. I'm going to see if I can bring up Steve. Steve, are you there? I can kind of see Steve.
It's exciting. It's like doing a spirit reading.
Steve,
like,
here, give us a sign.
Nicholas's assistant is waiting in the wings to flip the light switch.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. And it's always the way with these things that Steve Zarebski has joined this call for a second time.
Twice.
Twice.
You just keep joining. Bless him.
Hi, Steve. It says he's muted.
Hello, everyone who has joined us.
Hello, everybody who's joined us, including Jonathan. It's weird because I don't see why Steve. I'm going to get rid of one of Steve. I can hear somebody. Steve, are you there? Amanda, let me just try Amanda. Amanda, are you there? We can see a beautiful smiling face, but we can't hear you. Jonathan, we definitely heard from, so let's see if we can get Jonathan on. Jonathan? Jonathan, can you try unmuting yourself, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Helps if I can work this damn thing by myself. There you go. There you go, guys. How are we all doing today?
Doing great.
That's cool. Soskas, can you hear me this time around?
I can.
Always can.
Oh, not always. So how's everybody, man? You guys good?
We're good. What's your question, Jonathan?
Sorry, my question is mainly directed to Daniel Way. I wanted to ask him, Daniel, have you ever heard of a Batman comic, this one? Batman Arkham Asylum, Serious Place on Serious Earth.
I don't think I have.
No, you haven't. It's a very, it's my all-time favorite comic, and it's about the Joker taking over Arkham Asylum. But you know what? It's not important. What I will ask you is, if you and the Soskas had to make a Batman movie, who would you guys hire to play Batman and the Joker?
The Joker would be Crispin Glover.
Oh, brilliant choice.
Batman.
Damn. Whoa, Dan. Whew.
I think. You ever play that game where where you try to figure out who your favorite actor really is? So you go through you list the whole if you've seen a majority of an actor's films, then they should be on your list. And I was playing this game with somebody, and I realized I've seen every film that Crispin Glover has ever done, and I would see anything else that he's done because I just think I love that guy. I even saw Charlie's Angel movies he was in. As far as Batman, I'm kind of conflicted on Batman as a character. I see him as this really it can't say regressed. It's almost like retarded. He's just this really damaged little kid who has who's used his dad's money to turn an entire city into a tombstone. And I don't really see a lot of heroism in that. So I don't know. If I did I've written basically one Batman story. I wrote it for Marvel Comics. We did it under this banner called Supreme Power, so I just used analog characters. And it kind of examined my thoughts fully on the whole Batman-Joker dynamic. I really wouldn't have an actor suggestion for Batman, so the twins can feel that one.
Michael Fassbender, just so I could work with him.
As Batman?
Michael Fassbender can do anything.
You know what I'd love to do, which they would never do?
What?
All Unknown.
All Unknowns?
Why don't you just find an actor who can act exceptionally well that nobody's seen before, so that when you see it, you don't just see Christian Bale on screen or Heath Ledger or whatever big name, you actually just see whoever the fuck you're trying to make up.
By that definition, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, although working actors, weren't really anybody until they're Loki and Thor, and let's be honest, they'll be fucking Loki and Thor until the day they die.
I stay Stellan Skarsgård for Joker.
Stellan Skarsgård? Why, is he going to rape Batman later?
In my movie, he does. And it's really hot. And then they try to just throw money at the screen, and then there's a bonus scene if I make a...
That's so terrible. We should do that.
Yeah.
Good. I just want to point out that no one knew who Christopher Reeve was when he became Superman.
Yeah, there's kind of a long history of that. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
Marvel Studios was really kind of smart to go that route with so many of their films. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., which obviously is a really well-known actor, he had kind of, let's face it, he kind of fallen off the map, but now he's now he's top of the list, right?
Yeah. Now he is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He's the highest paid actor in the world. He made 72 million on Avengers.
You could make a fucking Iron Man.
Channing Tatum was second most. He made 63 on Magic Mike. So
because women just showed up and started throwing money at him.
So somehow you have to put Magic Mike and Avengers together, and then all the money comes.
He's playing Gambit.
Gambit the stripper.
Gambit should be a stripper at the Hellfire Club, maybe.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Jonathan, does that answer your question?
It certainly does, yeah. I just hopefully Steve and Amanda will get to answer theirs, you know. But still, one thing I'd like to say to you: your hair looks lovely, dear. Quit playing with it so much.
Thank you. I know it's just the base.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan. I am going to try and get the others in, and I believe Don Pettit has just joined us. Don, are you there? Let's just see if we can get Don. We can see Don, but we can't hear Don.
Oh, he has a Fuck the Westboro Church shirt. Nice.
No, I can't hear you, Don. Oh, but Amanda is definitely being more visible.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Amanda's here. Amanda, would you like to ask your question to Jen or Dan or both? Or Sylvia?
Yes.
Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? I just told you how insecure I am about being the less favorite twin, and you pull that shit.
Everyone thinks your hair is prettier too.
Go fuck yourself, Jen. Go fuck
I would just like to write my will and testament now.
Yeah, I'm coming over there. You can't hide from me in the UK, Nicholas.
Amanda, before I come back to you, just whilst somebody was asking, are you coming back to the UK soon, Jen and Sylvia?
Literally the moment someone will bring us out. So if there's a convention, a film festival, just like go full on insane and just message them every hour on the hour. Demand the twins will come in. If you fly us over, basically I wish I was there last year.
Yeah, I hope I can be at Fright Fest this year. I love Fright Fest.
And they've been so good to us.
Yeah, they gave us our world premiere.
And I really like the British fans, the UK guys. I mean, you guys were supporting us since Dead Hooker in a Trunk. That's a beautiful thing.
I feel much the same way. And I've probably half of the artists that I've worked with over the 13, 14 years I've been writing comics have been British or Scottish or Irish. And I keep, you know, I'll be honest, I've spent a lot of time hanging out in bars with these guys, and they'll be like, oh, you should meet so and so over there at that table, and they'll bring them over. Oh, I run this convention in the UK, and they're like, oh, we'd love to have you, love to have you. The problem is we always have this conversation where they are shit-faced, and they never remember. And like my buddy Steve Dillon, he's like, yeah, I'll mention it to him. I'll have him bring you over. And it's like, yeah, how drunk are you right now, Steve? You're not going to remember this.
I like him. He sounds like a good time, and he's a great fucking artist.
Oh, Steve's the best.
He's amazing.
Cool. All right. Well, Don is there, and Amanda's ladies first, I think. Amanda, would you like to ask your question, please?
Sure. I think it's funny, though, that I came on when they were talking about favorites. Just so you guys know, there are no favorites when it comes to the twins.
Damn right, Amanda. She knows what's up.
Yep.
She knows twins.
That's
she knows.
Right. I do know twins. First off, hello, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Awesome. Good. Awake.
Awake, yes. That's always the tough part. So my question is, after seeing all of your films and hearing how balls to the wall, no censorship, awesome, crazy that this graphic novel is going to be, is there actually anything that you girls would consider to be too much?
I will say that I'm a fan of the original Saturday Night Live, and this does have a point. Back in the good old days, Saturday Night Live would offend everybody. So it wasn't really very PC at all, but nobody was really left out, and I like that. I like nothing being off limits. I'm a Roman Catholic. I know that a lot of people don't believe that God has a sense of humor, but look at us all. He's probably drunk half the time. And poking fun at our own religion I mean, I'm cool with it, but I know that I'm gonna take shit for that. But I get take shit every time I wake up.
You know, when I was an altar server, and Jen and I were the first female altar servers in Western Canada for the Roman Catholic Church, I remember talking to a priest and saying, I remember you doing this and this for a homily and this for gospel reading and this, but I don't know how much I believe this thing because it seems a little far-fetched. And I thought I was going to get in shit for being like, I don't know how much I believe this. And he was like, well, that's good. Otherwise, you're a sheep. You should always question every single thing. And if you look at it, the cool thing about Kill-Crazy Nymphos ATTACK is we do have a message. We're not just being offensive for the sake of being offensive. We're talking about real-life things that have happened. And I remember when Daniel sent over the first 3 pages after Rob did his magic on it, and I was looking at it, and I was like, fuck. There is no we are fucking going right out, and you see these 2 characters, and you see how fucking wild and balls to the wall it is, and you look at it, and you're like, this is cool, because we have something to say, and it's going somewhere, and I just hope it opens the dialogue. Of course, some people are going to be like, oh, fuck this is horrible, and blah, 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 but, I mean, why would you make art if you don't have some people go, fuck this is horrible? What's the point of it?
Absolutely. In the infamous words of John Cleese, some people deserve to be offended.
My thoughts on it are, look, there's 2 things. One is that if your belief in your religion is so, I don't know, tentative that a comic book can shake your foundations, then there's other things for you to be examining. And it's the same thing with your political stance or really anything. The other point that I want to make is that a book that goes for the throat on so many levels, if we were to leave someone off the list, it's basically giving them a pass. So once we decided that we were going to go so far in one direction, we realized that we had to target essentially everyone. Just to be fair.
Oops. Oh.
Is he frozen?
I think Daniel's frozen.
There's only 3 of us.
Oh, hold on. I think Daniel may have frozen. Yeah, Daniel was
frozen in time.
Isn't he?
Isn't he amazing?
Oh, it's all right. Bear with me. He's coming back again. That's okay. You're back again, Daniel.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sorry, just so that Jonathan, Jonathan, I removed from the Hangout just so that we could make space to see if I can get Steve on. Daniel, if you'd like to carry on answering the question, if you remember it.
Oh,
it was about
at what point did I drop out?
Basically, the part of if you've got, if you have some beliefs, but you take it so seriously that you can't handle being offended.
Yeah, well, any religion or political stance that doesn't hold up to examination that's just a load of shit anyway. And if we're pointing that out for you for the first time, then you should be thanking us. The other point that I wanted to make is that because of the nature of the book and how hard we go for the throat, if we were to leave anyone out and not skewer like everyone across the board, anyone that we excluded from the list, it would be like writing them a pass, and that could undermine the story ultimately. Just because if we don't go after them, that means that we don't have an issue with them. So yeah, we target everyone. We target ourselves.
Cool. Amanda, does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right then, Amanda. I know there are other people trying to get on, Amanda. I'm going to come to Don. Don, are you there?
Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Don.
How are you two?
Good.
And 3 and 4.
Which 2 are you referring to? Jen and Daniel, or am I included in this?
No, me and Daniel.
Actually, Sylvie, if you look down at the comments, I did put in there, Sylvia, we all love you too.
Sylvia's gonna go be a fucking hair model now since she's so goddamn.
Yep.
That's what
Right
my
before
gig is after this. We're gonna go hair model.
Don't you take Daniel away from me? I will kill you.
Too late.
I can see it.
Sorry, that was hair modeling your question?
No. I have a question, but I have somebody that wants to meet you guys first. Sylvie,
Your
meet
snake?
Sylvie.
Hi, Sylvie.
That's Sylvie.
Sylvia's so beautiful.
Oh, look who doesn't have a snake named after them. Ooh. Let's call get a snake named after them. Didn't think so.
I'm gonna start training.
Yeah, you guys will definitely meet her in October when you come to a Horrorama, face to face. Okay, question is now from your perspective. I know what has it been like working like side by side with somebody who has basically created like your perfect image of like a dude for the longest time that you've been fans. What's it like working with somebody that you've admired so much for so long?
It feels like the fucking Truman Show, and it's so weird to say it in front of you, Dan, again. I'm so fucking sorry. But even with the Deadpool writing, Deadpool was never more exciting and interesting than when Daniel was writing him. He added so much substance and realism to the character, and he was a fucking asshole, and he was fucked up, but he was just such a lovable fucking guy. Where are you going?
I'm getting my phone.
Oh. Fuck her, right? Anyways. And I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I read Wolverine Origins, and to create Wolverine's origin story, that is a shitty job for anybody because everyone's looking for that to be like, oh no, I envisioned this, I envisioned that. Yeah, that's good. And Dawson's in that one too.
And the guy who did the cover for that book is the guy who's doing the cover for Kill-Crazy Nymphos.
It's a great fucking cover.
My friend Daniel Way signed it for me. That's my friend's signature. I work with him.
I was there when he did that.
That's right. But
I videoed the whole thing for you.
To be working with Dan is just fucking amazing because, truth be told, I don't like working with other writers. No. I don't because I have another writer and it's already a fight to get, my vision there, even though it's the same vision but two very different paths. But with Dan, it's just so organic and amazing. Okay. And it's a fucking dream come true. I mean, I'm a fucking nerd and I get to work with one of my favorite writers in the world.
And there's a lot of sensibility. Like, we share a lot of sensibilities with Daniel, but there's a lot of things I would never think of. And he says these things, and he's just so well-educated and well-rounded in things. And I'm like, oh my God, you're smart, Dan. But sometimes you talk, I'm like, he is smart, Jesus.
And he's full of piss and vinegar, too. I like a guy with an edge to him.
Are you telling me somebody actually had something come to mind that Sylvie didn't think of? Really?
Are you part of the Dan, Nico, Sylvia DeSucks group? Because you're going to sell you a bag of shit.
No.
I think Canadian stop me.
Probably not. I got a dead rat in the mail. Taxidermy.
Yikes. Oh, right.
Wow.
I was sending you dead rats in the mail.
Oh, it's actually
cool. Feed it to Carrie.
Don't ask. He's adorable.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, you can't feed him to Cary Grant. You just can't do that. That's just not right. He's good. He's got a hat and a cape.
Well, look, we haven't weirded out Daniel. He's still here, and we're planning.
I don't know. I'm gonna
many things.
I'm gonna text him after this and hope I'm not too fucked up.
You'll be blocked by then.
Cool.
Oh, well.
I'm going to move on to a couple of other questions that have come in from people, if I may. And those of you who've been asking if you can come on live, I have been trying to get as many of you on as possible. If you haven't received the call, then I'm afraid it's just because technically I can't get you on the thing. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take a couple of questions. We are coming on to our hour. Before I come on to the couple of questions, though, there is something, and I'm just going to we'll leave Don there with his snake, because that's fairly amusing to watch. But what I am going to do is, Daniel, you said that you have something happening in Vancouver later in this month. Would you, if you'd like to kind of tell us a little bit about that, and I shall bring on the thing that you are about to talk about.
The twins are kind of really good at marketing, so I'll probably just hand it to them. But you know what? Just take it. You guys do it. I couldn't sell snowballs in hell.
You could, and we would scream about those snowballs like crazy people. All right, so we have had such a fucking amazing experience with the Kickstarter for Kill-Crazy Nymphos ATTACK. You guys who have donated and put up flyers and reposted everything, you have gone fucking awesome, nuts, insane with everything, that you're actually making this all a reality for us. And our grandest, we reached our first goal for fundraising. Our finalist goal is to have a big wrap party, so we can literally have a Kill-Crazy Nympho party with everybody. But we like to party, and Daniel's coming into Vancouver anyways, so we decided we're going to throw a party.
Yep, Daniel Way is going to be doing a signing at Big Pete's on Lonsdale, and we're going to be there as well on Free Comic Book Day. And since he's in town, we're like, let's throw a fucking giant pre-party. So it's an appetizer party, and it's also a fundraiser. It's going to be thrown at the Real Theater, which is licensed and amazing.
This will be April 30th.
April 30th. I think doors at 7, show at 8. And it's going to be a comic book fundraiser orgasm night. We're going to have cosplay burlesque numbers. We're going to have a Wolverine stripper.
Yeah, and Rob Dumo is going to be coming, and you can actually get your head put in. So either you can be onto Kill-Crazy Nympho, custom-made cover for a poster for you. So either
which are very, very limited edition.
Very freaking limited. But
and he's going to be drawing them in-house.
Of your face. And so either you can be a Kill-Crazy Nympho, which is totally fucking hot.
But you need to be a boob.
You need to have, you can only be a chick.
It's a chick thing.
Why we grab our boobs to prove that we're chicks, I know not.
It helps.
It helps. It's where I get my power from.
And also, we're going to be auctioning off some of the incentives that are more of the high-ticket incentives as well, including we're going to raffle off an appearance in the comic book.
And I know Jennifer and I are going to be in costume, and if you see what the Kill-Crazy Nympho sisters wear, it's ticket price alone, it's worth it.
And we're going to encourage everyone to come dressed up.
Cool.
Are we still live? Did we lose everyone, Nico?
No, we're still live, but we appear to have lost Daniel, so I'm just trying to get Daniel back. No, you're still definitely live. This is still definitely going on. I am just trying to get Daniel back in. Whilst we're trying to get... Sorry, you said it was Free Comic Day, but what date is that?
April 30th is going to be the party, and May 1st, I have it written, thank God, May 1st at Big P.
Cool. So those are the two dates if you're in and around Vancouver. And we'd just like to say, how many more days are there left on the Kickstarter?
A little over 40, I believe, or a little under 40. So we still have some time. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they made their first marker. It's fine. The thing is, the more successful this is, like Daniel said, the more likely it is people will let us do this as a movie. It'll show a certain type of popularity, and it'll also make it easier for us to make our next comic book, which is also batshit fucking crazy and filled with social commentary, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, and the funding that we've reached so far is the bare minimum. We'd like to expand it by more and more pages. We'd like to give it, actually, we did give it a hardcover, right?
We gave it a hardcover because we got so excited because everybody was so nice. So if you already donated to getting a comic book, you are getting the hardcover version. There is no soft with Kill-Crazy Nymphos. It's hard all the way.
Cool. I think Daniel was just trying to come and join us again, so I'm going to try. Had somebody trying to call, so I'm going to send him another invitation. Daniel, just so you're aware, I have to invite you into this call. You can also just try the link I sent you earlier on. Clicking on that should bring you back to us. Whilst we're hopefully waiting for Daniel to come back on, and we're already over our hour, as we always are. There are a couple of other questions. I knew it was going to happen. This is from, and there's actually changing the tone a little, because I think this is a very important issue for many people. This is from Ryan Espig. Jen, Sylvia, due to the bullshit in Indiana, is that going to affect you two coming here for cons and such?
That's actually a really good question. And I know that the bullshit that they're having is referring to refusing service for the LGBT community.
For a Religious Freedom Act.
Which I think obviously is complete fucking bullshit. That being said, I'm very split on that. I understand the meaning behind boycott Indiana, but the entire place as a whole is not the problem, and not going to a convention does nothing but a disservice to our fans. And I know that the fans that come see us, I mean, half of them are gay and lesbian as it is. There are people who, that's half our fan base, and then it's girls, and then it's, you know, whoever is on their computer all day.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think if I do get invited to Indiana with Jen, I would have to make sure that I'm staying there a little longer so we could do something, because I'm a big fan of the 60s and 70s when people would march out and actually do something. And the fact that Jen and I get the attention that we do, I like to put a spotlight on things that deserve attention. So it's anything that's going on politically in the world, new artists that are going on, but just things that you should be aware of and should share your voice on. And guys, if you're just hearing this for the first time, I believe Indiana is not the only place that has this. I think there's a couple other states, but talk to people, send letters to your congressman, make a fucking big stink about it. And you know what? Post it all over social media. Send it to these fuckers that are on Twitter that are making these stupid laws. Don't accept it. Every time you just, even if it upsets you quietly, don't let it be quiet. Just make your voice heard, because that's the only way we're going to stop this. And we can be part of the generation that's like, yeah, remember what fucking almost happened? Not on our watch.
Yeah, I'd like to see equal rights in our generation. I mean, this is so, I mean, what decade are we in? It's the same as like no colors. How do you even do that? That's just the most disgusting way to act. Oh my God, gays have so much expendable income too. Why are you shutting down your businesses? What is wrong with you?
Your bakery doesn't want to make a cake for a gay wedding? Well, that's your fucking problem. Do you know how wonderful that would be?
Yeah, completely agree with you as well. And I think the attitude I've always had is having dialogue with people is a better way of helping them understand you as a human being, rather than just turning your back on them.
Yeah,
you know, and as you say, it's not everybody in Indiana. This is the same with the fans who walk up to the Hellraiser tables as well. We have I know there are so many gay people, particularly gay people who've come towards us and spoken to me after the Nightbreed release as well. So I feel exactly, if somebody would invite me, I'd rather go there and do exactly as you said. I marched in the streets when we had very similar laws passed by the government in our country back in the 1980s, where you weren't allowed to teach about homosexuality in schools and so on. So yeah, I'm with you. Get on the street, carry banners, let people be heard. Okay, I'm going to take another couple of questions. I think Daniel has been trying to get back, but we don't appear to be able to get Daniel back online. Okay, the question I wanted to ask is, and you may have answered this already, is this the only graphic novel you'll be working on, or if KCNA is a hit, will this lead to you guys possibly teaming up for more graphic novels? And I'm guessing that's with Daniel as well.
Oh, absolutely, with Daniel. As a matter of fact, when we first started pitching ideas together, because we were just so excited to work together, there was another idea that was like this kind of close to being it, and it's something we're all really excited about. So because we've seen how much of an outpour of support we've gotten on this, we're already planning the next one.
And it's good.
It's so different, but it's super unique. It's something I actually wanted to make as a movie with Jen, but because of the content, like many of the things that we do, people are like, well, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see this kind of movie. Nobody wants to see this demographic represented. There's not enough of a market for it. And I want to say, fuck yeah, there is. It's just this demographic has never been shown in this light before and had this opportunity.
Yeah, it was never an issue. I remember pitching back and forth with Daniel, and we had these two ideas, and we were like, well, let's just do Kill-Crazy Nymphos ATTACK and just go from there.
Yeah.
I would be so happy to be working with the three of us forever.
Yeah. Especially, like, because I really want to do graphic novel movies. I would be so honored to have Daniel come in and put some of his magic in it, because it really is magic what he does.
Yeah.
I've been reading comic. Okay, so I'm gonna be 32 at the end of the month. I've been reading since I was 10, and I collect a lot. I have thousands in my room, and Daniel's stuff stands out. Even when he did Tangled Web, it stood out, and it's just really special to have like creative people out there that you can, you know, work together with.
It is absolutely quite extraordinary. Ladies, it's 8:10 in my time. There are lots of questions. I'm really sorry, as usual, I didn't get to absolutely everybody.
We never shut up. I'm sorry.
Sorry, that's
again?
us. We never shut up.
It's fine. Is there anything else apart from Kill-Crazy Nympho ATTACK? People have been asking how Poison Jane is coming along and your other stuff. Do we have a release date for Vendetta? Is there any other news on on in your world?
No exact date on Vendetta, but from what I've heard about going behind the scenes, it seems like that you might be getting a trailer really soon. And Dean Cain talked with Kathy Lee for the first time press about it. And I think all of us are just super, super excited for it to come out. And I'm, of course, a little nervous. It's our most violent movie to date, and people said they wanted more blood and guts after See No Evil 2. So I think we over-delivered a lot.
It's also such a different film for us, too. We never want to do the same thing twice, but this one it's kind of a mix. How did I stutter over one syllable word? It's a mix between American Mary and Dead Hooker in the Trunk, in the way that the core story is very much a male version of American Mary, Mary Mason's story. And then with Dead Hooker, the violence, I mean, it takes largely place in a men's prison. The violence is very real, and it's very brutal, and it just feels like you could die there any second.
Yeah, and there's a quite a large social commentary about the inadequacies in corruption in the legal system, and I was really surprised that we were able to go so far with that. So I think people will watch this, and yeah, on the surface, it's a fuck yeah movie, but also there's other things going down about how people abuse power and what people do to attain power.
And I wish we could talk about all the other stuff we have lined up for this year, but we have a series of joyous announcements that are on their way. A couple films. We're still pushing for Bob as well, our original monster movie, which is, like Mary, painfully original, so nobody wants it. But that's cool. That's cool. Everyone will want a monster movie from us after we finish it. Yeah.
Cool. Right then. Okay. Well, I can't believe this is actually the end of the show. And as I say, as ever, we could possibly be, you know, chatting for hours and hours and hours, as we always do. But I just want to thank you two ladies. Thank you so much indeed for coming on. Thank you for everybody who's watching. And I know everyone's been asking questions and been trying to join us live. Sorry for the technical issues for those who can't. I just like to say, keep an eye out for the shows coming up. We will keep you posted. I was being informed it's 25 days left on the
25 days. Thank you.
25 days for the Kickstarter left. So less than a month, guys. So do go out and support. There is a link on both YouTube and Google for this. Keep these guys going, because as they have said, you know, this is going to be a very graphic novel. It would make the most amazing movie. I'm absolutely certain of that. And they need your support in order to be able to do that. So please think about subscribing to Chattering with Nicholas Things. Thank you so much, Jen and Sylvia.
Thank you, Nicholas. We love you. And hello to Barbie. This is the first time we've chatted without Barbie.
I know.
Oh, this is true. Oh, it's the second time. No, we have done one show without. But yeah, I know. And we will think about doing a Soska Cenobite something later on in the year, I'm sure.
Coming up.
May Day or something.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, I'm sure we'll all be too busy around Halloween, but we'll do something. If not, a Soska Cenobite Christmas would be wonderful.
Absolutely. Love it. We'll make time for you even at Halloween. We love it.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Fine. If we can, we'll do that. That would be great. All right. We could talk for hours. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. You've been watching to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. I've been chattering with Jen and Sylvia Soska and Daniel Way about Kill-Crazy Nymphos ATTACK. And go out and find the Kickstarter and say goodnight, ladies.
Good night, ladies.
And we'll speak to you soon. Good night, everybody. Have a good time.